Welcome back, everybody. We're back on the stage here, but we're going to mix it up with a very unique little game.
What a great phrase. Please welcome Sam Abbott, producer at Compulsion Games, and Elisa Melendez, new media manager at Gearbox Publishing. Guys, thank you so much for being here. First of all, I don't know if you can tell which game they're representing here. There's a hint.
That's right, that's right. A lot of fans are super excited. Again, like, how does it feel to be E3 and with a release date?
Feels amazing. Yeah.
And interview done.
Awesome.
Yeah, we're good.
Well, that was fast.
No, I'm so happy. Like we've been in the relationship with Compulsion for a while now, and I'm just so excited to finally let people know when you're going to get this in your hands and be able to play this, because it's such a cool game.
Absolutely. Well, hey, listen, before we dive any deeper, let's take a look at the trailer for We Happy Few. Scary. Oh, just kidding.
In a minute, we're going to
That was a tease.
Should we
I love
act
the
it out?
practice scary voice.
Guys, practice. We all did great.
Oh,
so
okay,
did
okay,
you.
that's
So let's actually talk about the non-traditional way this game is being made.
Right. So it's been 4.5 years since we started We Happy Few. So it's quite a long time for a smaller independent project. And we started with this sort of idea of, hey, what about a society that's just obsessed with happiness and denies all of the bad things in life? And we wanted to do this procedurally generated city sort of survival game. So we thought, oh, this sounds great for like Kickstarter and early access. So went out in 2015 on Kickstarter, got a ton of community feedback, people saying, hey, this is what we like, this is what we don't like, this is where you can improve. Then we went on early access and we showed the opening scene for basically the story of the game.
And you started out in the offices and everything is happy and joyful.
That's right.
Yeah.
And so people saw that and they're like, this next BioShock is amazing. And we were like, oh my, that's
A compliment.
That's
but
true.
Yes.
It was great, but at the same time, we were building a slightly different game. But we got so much feedback about the story and enthusiasm for the world and the lore that we thought, oh, you know what, we really need to meet people's expectations. So we took another 2 years, went back, partnered with Gearbox Publishing, who have been really, really great to work with. And now we're just about there. Yeah.
That's amazing, and I love the journey that you were able to get that first piece out. You got that initial piece of reaction, but as a developer, and then obviously finding a partnership from the publishing side, be able to say, you know what, let's do what's right for the community. Let's take our time with this game and really punch it basically through. I think it's super humbling and exciting to actually hear that. And so I'm very excited for the game. I remember playing the little demo at that, I think it was at that E3 or that following PAX West. Very excited, and of course now you guys have a date. You know, now I have a date I can at least mark and say, okay, I'm sick that day.
You all heard it. But speaking of things we're hearing, we actually do have that trailer right now. So before we get any deeper into this conversation, take a look at the trailer right now. We'll be right back.
Truth is the enemy of happiness. Isn't that the decision we all made?
Oh, but you know the truth, don't you? There's not a thing I can tell you that you don't already know. Is there?
Have you had your joy, Ollie?
People in town are getting a tad bit skinny. I think they're starving to death. And they're painting the streets in fucking rainbows. Have you not noticed?
Oh, Ollie.
Why are you all wearing those ridiculous new masks?
You should get one. They shape your face into a smile. And when you smile, you can't help being happy.
We have to tell people. They need to know the truth.
No! It's better not to know.
Wakey, wakey, everyone. And it's another fabulous day in Wellington Wells. Do what you should be doing, and you never have to worry.
Sally?
Arthur, we're practically the only two people in this entire city not stoned out of our minds on joy.
It's not a lovely day for it. It's a fucking terrible day for it.
If you force people to have the emotions you want, then you've turned them into robots made out of meat.
Where is it? Where's the blackberry?
You've gone too far this time.
People won't face facts. Not until we take their joy. And when we do that, they'll murder each other in the street.
There we go, an absolute trip down that lane in that trailer. A lot of emotions,
Rip.
a little bit of a goosebump in there or two. That's insane. Man, I can't even fathom, like, it's so non-standard. And that's also what's kind of so attractive about it. I have to ask, like, where do you pull an inspiration like that outside of, like, maybe a half comatose nightmare?
Yeah, this has me a little concerned, to be honest.
Are you okay?
Yeah.
Blink twice.
Yeah.
Oh, no.
It's so we have a team that's quite an interesting collection of characters and people with very different backgrounds.
You don't say.
Yeah, you don't say. Right?
Continue.
And basically early on we had all these inspirations that were floating around and a few of them stuck really, really, really well. So for films we had Brazil, for example, Terry Gilliam's Brazil. So vibrant, colourful, but horrible dystopia. We had Clockwork Orange art style and again, sort of very dark, uncomfortable situations. We had TV shows like The Prisoner, so the 1960s show about a guy trapped on an island where everything seems okay, but it really isn't. And then other shows and random movies like Hot Fuzz, for example.
Love Hot Fuzz. Well done.
Yeah, thank you. Well, we loved it as well. And then other media like books like 1984, obviously, Brave New World, various games in terms of the mechanics. And oddly enough, Bioshock was not necessarily one of them, of course, we all played. But yeah.
But I love that, and you can really see, like, when you say things like Clockwork Orange, 1984, Orson, like, you can really, like, you can see those pan out through the story, and then those strong tones between dark grays, and then vibrant colors depending on your level of joy at the current moment. And I just love seeing the diversity in it, and more importantly, just how you guys have taken that DNA and pulled it all together into like this. It's so hard. Like, you can't give it one word explanation. It's so unique. You have to give it a sentence.
Well, actually, that segues quite nicely into my next question, which is, lay it out for us. What makes that? We've seen a lot of unique aspects in both the story and obviously the beautiful gameplay you're looking at here. But what are some of the features that make this game so unique for you?
For me, I think the story itself is a bit of a feature.
Yeah.
One of the things that we do in the game is we've got 3 different characters, but their stories weave together to form just a big one overarching narrative. And the thing is, you see the same events from different perspectives. And what we're trying to do with that is encourage people to think about, maybe your character is not telling the truth. Maybe the other character is. But at the same time, learn to empathize and understand why each of them are in the situations that they are in. So I think the story is really, really interesting. We have a fairly wide variety of, let's call them pharmaceutical drugs to be taken and created in the game. Yep, well, they're all government
They
mandated.
are. That's
so,
what it is. I see it. Those are the rules in We Happy Few.
And yeah, that sort of stuff is quite fun. I think the stealth mechanics are quite good as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
Lisa,
mean,
what are your thoughts there?
it's like it's really interesting. I was actually sort of talking with the writers, and just I get to play this for my job, which is no choice. But even just experiencing, like, the characters, as you mentioned, they are flawed people, and it's not just a sort of pure heroic thing. You can actually see the flaws in the characters, and they feel incredibly real. So I'm playing one of the characters and hearing some asides from them and going, oh, I've had conversations like this before. I've been made this uncomfortable before, and it's definitely based in reality. Like, yes, it's dystopian, but it definitely feels real. And even with a lot of the work that they put in, not in just the characters, but even the environmental storytelling, you really get around and explore. it draws you in. You really want to find out just what happened here, and that's just so cool.
I noticed that you guys, because you initially had it over in the preview program over there, and where I jumped in first. There's a lot of little nuances I noticed because I would walk down the street and be like, okay, I'd walk back, but then I'd walk maybe over to this door, and I'd notice there's a conversation going on over this, or maybe there's a fight going on. I'm noticing there's some procedurally generated content as well. But I wonder, like, since you guys decided to go hard mode on yourselves, like, how do you approach storytelling in a procedurally generated world like that? Because it's always different. It's always changing.
Well, I mean, it's strange because in some ways it's actually the same as a regular game. You know, you can still have moment-to-moment storytelling. We have basically the game is like a bunch of handcrafted locations and moments and stories that is then distributed throughout a procedural world. And so ultimately you still have the same sort of general structure. It's just that, you know, you take a slightly different route to get there. And we found that a lot of the same principles work. So you can still use notes, you can still use conversations, you can still use all of that. And what we do is we try to split up the stuff that doesn't matter if it comes earlier or later in the game. So a lot of the environmental narrative, for example. And then the story itself is one big linear thing. And so, yeah, the game's a really strange hybrid of procedural and non-procedural content.
Well, I was going to ask about early access.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because you mentioned the
Exactly,
you talked about the
preview.
preview program. I'm super curious about that.
Yeah. So the problem with making a great big story game is that people don't want to play just a part of it. You know, you want to play the whole story at once. You want to sit down. You want to have the usual experience.
It'd be like reading one chapter of a book and being like,
Yeah, exactly. And I don't know, maybe it can be done, but certainly we didn't think we could do it very well. So early access was all about iterating on gameplay, saying. So I'll give you an example of something that was really, really interesting to me, is that we released the game and everyone said, oh, I want more story, where is the story? And we said, well, there's a ton of it there. What didn't you find? And it turns out they didn't find any of it. And it was because we weren't doing a good job of showcasing the story moments in our game. You could easily miss them, you could hear them going off from the side, and you'd leave them. And that was quite bad. So the first thing we did was rebuild our whole quest systems to basically say, okay, we're going to properly showcase all of the story, all of the cinematics and cutscenes that we're doing, and all of the gameplay moments. And I think that would have been really hard to do without that feedback.
yeah.
Yeah, absolutely. I can see how that, and I know community feedback is really core to the success of a game. I'm very biased, obviously, as a community manager. I think it's super important, especially, and the earlier you get it, the better. And I know it sometimes can be challenging. So I know as you guys are getting that feedback, as people are talking to you about maybe missing those moments, I'm curious to say, like, what was that like, trying to implement that feedback into your game? Like because that's a challenge within itself. Because once you get all that feedback, you have to disseminate it, decide which ones you can do, which ones you can't do, and that can be a challenge.
Yeah, that's right. And I think it's interesting because you don't get the full picture either. So you get a lot of people who have played for 15 hours and they give you detailed feedback on the in-game mechanics or something like that. And you're like, that's wonderful. But how long did it take you to understand how to jump or craft or something like that?
Right.
So that's where actually Elisa's team and the user research was really, really helpful. I don't know if you want to talk.
Yeah. So we actually, helped with kind of implementing actual like user research and really getting people to really dig into the game and really get the feedback in order to kind of help sort of make those experiences, make kind of like the player transition into the game a lot easier so they could just really dig into that story.
Yeah. And then after that, the community feedback and how you implement it, it's basically you get all the feedback you can, and you have to say, okay, well, what's the actual problem? Because a lot of people will say, oh, this is a major issue, I'm really frustrated, why don't you go fix that? And we'll say, we could, but I think your actual problem is this. And so you implement it, sure enough. Well, hopefully the feedback, they're like, oh yeah, this is great. Sometimes they don't, they come back and say, nope, was really upset about that actually. And you're like, oh, okay, well, we'll sort that out.
Lesson learned, and on you go.
Yeah, exactly. But
well, so let me ask this question. In terms of what you've gotten on a positive, on an excitement level, what has been the reaction that players have had some of this early access stuff?
The early access players are definitely focused on the story and the world, just like you were. It is absolutely all about that, and that's why we thought, oh, you know what, we've really got to double what
Yeah.
we're doing, basically. So that's been really good, and then the response to the demo here at E3 has been,
Yeah, how
this a
is your
different game?
experience, guys?
It's actually been really, really fantastic. You know, we've had folks sort of come in that have played the early access version, and they sort of play this demo that we have behind closed doors at E3. but it's the idea of, this is what I wanted. I want to know more. There were people that were exploring everything and trying to find out, and making themselves late for their next appointments. Because it was like, I don't want to go. I want to find out
Good
more.
problems to have.
Yeah.
Very
Yeah,
good
yeah,
problems.
which is a good problem. Yeah.
Nice. And I do know we are showing some of the game actually
Oh, hey now.
right now to some of the viewers. So for the chat and everyone there, I'd love for you to maybe explain if you know what's going on here a little bit and kind of paint the picture.
Yeah, absolutely. So this is basically this is a small part of the world where Arthur has walked in, and he is surrounded by people that are angry at him because he's not one of them. And this is a good Samaritan who's basically said, "Hey, listen, I'll help you out." And so she brings him into the church, and the first thing she does is extort him out of his socks to tell him how to live.
Sure.
As one does.
Yeah, I mean, I do that
Typical
all the
Tuesday
time.
for me. I don't think.
Yeah. So she's explaining the world, and she's talking about how the people out here are the ones who have reacted badly to joy, the ones who can't take it anymore, the outcasts from society, and they've created their own sort of Lord of the Flies society out here. And this is a very rude awakening for Arthur, who's someone that's lived in comparative luxury for most of his life. And so, yes, we're having a bit of a chat.
That inside a church?
Yes.
It looks like there. Yep.
And it's kind of interesting because when you think of just this kind of character, that it's not just, hey, give me this and I'll give you what you want. It's I want your socks, and it's, oh, are these people going to treat me nicely? It's like, no, they're just gonna go on and live their lives and just don't make them mad, and you'll be fine. So it's not everything is super hunky dory. Like, even if you do get what you want, it's never neat and tidy.
Never neat and tidy. Muddying those waters for sure. Let's talk about the different environments to explore.
Yeah, we're seeing.
one
We're
of them.
transitioning through a couple of phases
we are.
here, and so I'm kind of curious. Could you share a little bit about these? You've painted, of course, these gorgeous worlds that
Out of
you're
control.
kind of throwing us into. Let's talk a little bit about the environment that you might experience in the game.
So this is what we call the Garden District. So this is the part of Wellington Wells that was bombed out during World War II, but was never really restored. It's basically overgrown, and it's where the wastrels live, the people that are the outcasts from good society.
Wastrels. Ooh.
Yep, they're a lovely bunch most of the time, but they see eyes everywhere, which is why they draw them on the road like that. And this is a really interesting part of the game, because up until now everything has been handcrafted. But as soon as we go to the other side of this bridge, we will go into the procedurally generated area. And of course, that's quite an interesting thing for the player, because up until now they've been in a tight, confined environment. But as soon as you go out the other side of this bridge, oh gosh, they're not going to get there for a while, are they?
Oh no, not yet,
Well,
not
let's
yet.
see.
What?
Oh.
You can't. We
Yeah, I mean, this person is blocking the path.
What do we
He needs
can't
something
get through?
from you. He needs something from you.
Well, you already lost your socks. Like, what's left?
What is left? I guess we're gonna find out here shortly.
Not much.
Doesn't look like he has a shirt, so perhaps that's what he's looking for. I could be wrong.
And this is David Livingston. He's looking for something that has been taken from him, and you have to go find it.
Aha.
And he's like, I'll help you get through if you get me what I want.
Oh.
But it is going to take a
How I do
little
it,
bit
too.
of work in order to get across.
I love
it.
that. You guys have put a lot of work and effort, I've noticed, into the personalities of
Yeah.
some of these NPCs that you run into to really bring the world to life, be able to give them expression, anger, hate, happiness, sometimes, and then like you were talking about, like maybe call it falseness. There might be something actually underlying. You may not be as good as you might have thought they were being, and kind of a little bit of a sneak. Now, I know many of the players of the games are pretty big fans on this one, and they've been talking about it as a crafting system. That is a very large element of your game. Let's, if we can share some more about that. I know people are just, dying to get some more information.
So the crafting system is based on scavenging from the environment around you and combining all of the ingredients you find into various retro-futuristic technology. So as an example, you can I don't know, get a rolling pin. Rolling pin is a basic weapon in the game, and you can get another rolling pin, and you can duct tape them together. And we called that the double rolling pin, which is very
It's a very
delightfully named.
creative way to
Sounds like
call it.
hours spent on that one.
Yeah.
Just
It was
burning the
really-
midnight oil.
That was a big one. But as you progress through the game, you start creating some interesting things. For example, an electro baton, which is basically a bobby nightstick, but it's been enhanced with a power cell and it shocks people every time you hit them. You can have distraction devices like a music box where you throw it over there, and all of the people from an area will go to listen and dance to the music. And of course, you can then go in and steal from their houses, or do anything others. Do you have any other favorites?
I mean, I've had such a good time, especially for those folks that are, playing at home, maybe considering streaming this potentially. If you're the kind of person that will just hoard everything, this
is the game?
is for you. If you find yourself with lots of bobby pins everywhere, this is a real good connection. Just grab every bobby pin you can find.
Finally, a game for me.
Just
Finally.
grabbing.
So let's
grab
talk
one.
about that for a second. Sort of the IRL connections that we have. You've mentioned a couple of them in terms of the environment, in terms of the dystopian. Obviously, we don't live in dystopian futures, or do we? It's a matrix. Is that a thing? Doesn't matter. Point is that talk to me about the real world connections that some of the aspects of this game have.
So, in terms of the major interesting themes that we were looking at trying to talk about, 5 years ago, it turns out they're still as relevant as they are back then as they are today. And a couple of them were, the first was the idea of always putting on your happy face, right? And that's the idea that you wear these masks and they make you look happy. And it's a bit like your profile picture on Facebook.
Yeah, I was going to say social media. What?
Exactly, right? And it's all, that's the image that you present is not really the image that you actually are. And so what if a society was like that, where all you see is this perfect exterior, but on the inside people are, maybe struggling or maybe they just want to desperately get out of where they are.
So like Instagram then.
Yeah, I was going to say, you pretty much just described Instagram. That's
But
what
okay.
I feel like you just did.
We don't see that many sandwiches on here, but I'm assuming that comes with later DLC. But
Well, actually, no, we didn't take that out for the DLC. We kept it in.
Nice.
Sorry,
nice.
little joke. There are actually sandwiches in the game. They're very tasty. Yeah. And I think one of the other ones that's really interesting, and probably the core theme, is the idea of a society that just takes prescription drugs to solve all of their problems. Instead of trying to figure out what's going on, we're always looking for a quick fix. We don't want to deal with the problems of the past, like the people of Wellington Wells, and instead they invent a drug that just, makes them happy all the time. Yeah.
Wellington Wells.
I love that. A lot of realism there. I feel like a lot of people might be like, oh. Like as they're playing, they might get a little bit of a real world smack in the face, because you are right. Like a lot of people do shortcuts. You almost dissected humans' psychology there for a minute with the game. But I like that, because then people can connect to it, or they can be like, I can relate to that, or I've seen that in real life. So
and it's definitely true, especially like with the characters and this idea of sort of perception and denial, and the way that you kind of lie to yourself about how that conversation you had actually happened. So that is definitely incredibly relatable. Sure.
Nice.
You're going to see a lot of that here.
You guys talked a lot about the fan feedback. I mean, so I know the fans have been pouring into the game for the feedback for you guys. Are you guys ready? You think you got what you're ready to deliver for them? I mean, they seem toe to toe and ready to go. Okay.
That's a new one I haven't heard.
Sorry, I'm excited.
Toe to toe and ready to go. Ow.
Yeah, I like it. Yeah, no, I mean, yeah. Honestly, I think it's what people have wanted. One of the sort of fun things has been, because people have speculated about the story over the last 3 years, we've been reading all of these things, and sometimes they come up with really great ideas, and we're like, let's do a little bit of that. So we've been able to take some of these ideas and answer questions that maybe we wouldn't have otherwise. And yeah, I think it's going to be really great for everyone who's interested in it.
I had a question before we started, and I'm just going to ask it real quick before we go to our trivia, which is this such a psychedelic? It's such a mind game on so many levels. Seriously, how many nightmarish REM sleeps were interrupted by the craziness That is We Happy Few, because honestly, from the trailer, from the gameplay there, the thing that sticks out in my head is that picture of the man who has the happy face mask on, but he's crying and he just can't get out, and
That's mildly terrifying.
I'm just saying, that's a thing. At any rate, how are you guys, like, honest to God, like your team and everything, you guys must have crazy dreams all the time.
A little bit. No, it's definitely all good, and if anything, it's extremely colorful. Every once in a while, I feel like I'll see butterflies floating around, and I don't know.
I feel you. That's awesome.
Like I'm taking my joy.
I just dream of spreadsheets. It's
And that
horrifying.
is the true scary part.
That's the trigger mechanism.
Absolutely.
Spreadsheets are just causing these.
Speaking of trigger mechanisms, it's time again to warm up your controllers if you want a chance to win some lovely prizes. It's trivia time.
That's right, and remember, the quicker you are to answer, the more points you score, so listen up.
Yeah, let's see if you guys can tell. Don't tell the answers.
Okay.
Yeah, no spoiling it. All right, what is actually inside the piñata at the beginning of the game? Is it cockroaches, rotting food, joy, or a rat? No hints? Remember, speed and accuracy is the key here. You got 1 more second left to punch in those things, and there you go.
Time's up.
Mixer machine's gonna tabulate the
Tell you
answer.
something, so far, with the exception of joy, nothing sounds good coming out of the piñata. Looks like the correct answer is...
Cockroaches.
Or is it a rat?
It
or
was
is
a rat. Actually, that showed wrong. It is a rat. You guys are right with 36%.
Yes. Cool.
Yeah,
Okay, it
we
is
just
rat.
didn't-
We just didn't highlight the right one.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Promise it's right. It is a rat. It's a very
Here
distinct
we go.
revelation.
Here's our next one. Which of these is not a flavor of joy? Chocolate, mint, vanilla, or strawberry?
Now I'm hungry.
I didn't even know your
I
joy
get
could
it.
come in flavors.
Oh yeah.
That's
Now,
amazing.
see, this is what gaming does for us, everyone.
I like mocha.
Oh, mocha.
Mocha. Let's see, time's up for you now. Let's see what y'all answered and see which one of y'all's is correct.
The ones who guessed mint were actually cool.
That is so correct. And in the mint green, they have been highlighted.
There we go. They got the right one right.
Not sure why I'm telling you like
54%.
that.
Just be a Tic Tac at that point, I think.
I'm going to question the next time I eat a Tic Tac.
It's gonna go right to your head.
New question here. What is Arthur's current profession in We Happy Few? Is he an accountant, a redactor, a librarian, or a convenience store clerk?
Also, what do you want to be when you grow up, kids?
Sure, yeah, those are your only choices.
Yes.
Good luck.
Dual-sided question.
Yeah.
Time is up. The actual correct answer was a redactor.
Redactor.
So for those who got it
Redactor.
right here,
Yes.
congratulations. 27%.
Nice.
Stumping some of you. You thought accountant. I think the office setting might have.
We were counting on you to do better.
Oh.
Let's talk about which publication did Arthur once write for? Oh Current, The Daily Observer, Life and Times, Underground Informer are your 4 options.
See if people were paying attention, if they've maybe played the preview.
Yeah.
To say, we're singing our preview people here, I bet. Time's up. Let's see what you said, and let's see what we called it.
It's going to be Courant?
Courant?
Wow, yeah.
9%.
Wow.
Wow, that's where the rubber meets the
Again,
road.
I think there's a lot of stacks of newspapers, if I remember, in that office. So I think they were thinking the Daily Observer sounds like a newspaper kind of thing. I'm thinking with some trick questions here. Next one is it's too high up there. Where does We Happy Few? Thank you. Where does We Happy Few take place?
We've said this a couple of
Oh, we
times.
have.
Wellington Wells, Liverpool, Westchester Village, or Nottingham Hills? Now we have said this one if you're listening.
Nottingham.
Nottingham,
Nottingham.
not Nottingham.
I don't know. I'm
Time
not
is up though. The correct answer was
Wellington Wells. It rolls off
Hopefully
the
you got
tongue.
that right. Ah, there we go.
Eh.
52%. They highlighted the wrong one again.
They
It's
did.
okay.
Wellington Wells,
got it.
well
It is
done.
counting. It is counting.
Well done, Will Wellington.
And a winner,
Oh,
Oh.
Thygo Speed.
Speed Burks.
Burks.
Or Speed Burton.
There we go. 69 points on the board. Congratulations again. We are
Congrats.
doing this trivia after almost every segment, so make sure you
Yeah.
have your controllers and
Log
your
in.
keyboards ready. Yeah, typing it in chat doesn't work. You
Nope,
actually
don't
gotta.
type in chat.
You just gotta click, and that'll input it.
Exactly. So let's go back to that remote crew. But first, I want to say thank you so much, you guys, for bringing in You Happy Few and scaring the crap out of both Josh and myself.
And
We
getting a
look-
pre-order out of me. I'm ready.
There it is. We look forward to
Awesome.
August 10th. Yep.
That's right.
We Happy Few, ladies and gentlemen. But now it's time to go back to the remote crew and see what's happening at the Xbox Experience.